morning, evening. What's up? How y'all doing? Um, Welcome to another episode of In the Blender. Um, I've had a lot of, I've done a lot of shows with Dolphin fans, and there's a first time for everything. Exception to the rule, every cliche in the book. This next guy is a team of somebody that we all despise, but I like the person. I got to know him, and you guys will get to know him too. So, with no further ado, let me get started, and we'll be right back. Uh,
Shake, 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 yeah. Shake, 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 shake. Shake money in the place. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Is you a fan or a troll? Are you trying to wish us good? Trying to take control. Bringing problems to the hood. What takes your soul? Miami Dolphins bring the wood. Super Bowl is the goal. Tyreek Hill. I'm trying to kick it with Shay. You gotta be a real fan. No pretenders and fakes. We're gonna open up the line. Come correct with your taste. If you step into us blind, we're gonna show you the way. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Never want the season to end. Mix it up a little with gin. And I remember when I knew that the Dolphins would win. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Let's go. I never want the season to end. Never mix it up a little with gin. That's right. Pass it off to one of my friends. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Larry K, what up? Phin-Addicts. TFTG, the tailgate. Miami Dolphins, baby. What up, Lou? Shake money. Crypto. Check it. Me? God bless y'all. Miami Dolphins #1. And we out. Miami Dolphins football, the greatest football team. We push the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. Respect us.
Morning, Your Majesty. It is another beautiful day in Zamunda.
so, like I was saying, this next guest, we met, via internet. I seen him on Miss Finn's. I seen him on CBA3. I seen him on the Blitz pickup. So he's obviously, even though he roots for the Bills, he is a friend of the Miami Dolphins community and a personal friend of mine. I want to introduce to you the one, the only, Shawn from Red, White, and Bills. What's going on, man? Listen, man. If I had to break the rule, I'm glad I broke it with you, man.
Well, I've already told you it's a complete honor to be on here. I appreciate it. And the Dolphins fans, please don't be too mad at Shake. This is all love. And, like he says, I became friends with a lot of people in this community. The guys at the tailgate, Blitz Pickup, CB83, Miss Fins, TD. And some of you know, TD's why I started my own channel, because I reached out to him once and was asking for advice. And he hit me up. So ever since then, I was like, he didn't have to do that. And a rival fan base took time out of his day, and I was like, okay, let me try to get immersed in the rest of the community over there. And it's you guys have a lot of fun over here. So glad to be part of it in a way.
We have the Marinos Go, Rafael, Courtright, Spit on the Bread, and of course Cosa Nostra. Those are the guys that been rocking with for a while. And so what made you get with? What made you do your own channel? And how'd you get with Nickel City Mafia?
Yeah, so like I said, I was watching TD and Dan and all them on what they were doing a few years ago. I tried messaging them all like, hey, watch you guys stuff, looking to get into it myself. Because one thing about me, I like to consider myself a lifelong learner. So I never think I'm better than anyone, or even when I'm at the top of something, there's always more you can learn. If you're staying the same, then you're failing, in my opinion. So I was like, yeah, I don't have any pride where I can't ask someone for help. TD's the only one that responded. And then I started my own personal channel, Red, White, and Bills, as you guys know. And then when I started that, my friend Mike from Nickel City Mafia reached out to me, and he had started a channel a little bit before I did. And, you know, they do awesome stuff over there, and I'm part of them as well. I'll be doing more of a role this year than on my own channel. I'm kind of taking a break from my own this year. But yeah, so I met Mike through the internet. Just, you know, he kind of reached out on a show. He's commented and say, hey, let's talk one day about collabing. And then 3 years later, you know, we grew friendships, and it's actually it's really awesome that you can meet people from across the world over the love for the game. You know, whether you're a fan of the Bills or the Dolphins or whoever, I think it's really cool.
So, Red Wine Bills, how'd you come up with that name?
Well, you know, I was like, just like my business name is for my cleaning company is Dustbusters, so like Ghostbusters but cleaning. So I always try to think of something unique that's going to catch the eye. And I was looking around, I'm like, you know, the American flag colors, red, white, and blue. You know, the Bills are red, white, and blue. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh, red, white, and Bills. That sounds catchy. So I looked around, like nobody had that name. So I was like, cool, let's do it. And you know, I think it's interesting, but you know, it hasn't like I don't think it's caught wind. But
so, what made right now $1 million question? What made you a Buffalo Bills fan? I know you're from New York, so you have other options. You know what I'm saying? So, what made you a Bills fan
So
specifically?
you mentioned I'm
Remember,
from New
you're not
York.
from Buffalo, right? You're not originally from Buffalo.
No, I'm not from Buffalo. I'm 3 hours away from Buffalo. I live in it's not a small city, but it's not like a New York City type. It's called Utica. And the interesting thing about Utica, well, it's a very diverse place, you know, culturally and like just everything. But we have no legit team. You know, we don't live in the Bronx. You know, there's nothing here. We now have a AHL hockey affiliate team for the Devils, but we don't have any pro teams for anything. So you walk around the street, you see Cowboys fans, Giants, Eagles, Bill, you see everything here. And when I was younger, when I was younger, I was always like, I feel bad for the bad teams. Like when these teams lose all the time, like I feel horrible for them. And my dad worked at a prison a long time ago, and they used to have bus tickets to Buffalo games. And I was like 5 or 6 or 5.5 or whatever. And there was a preseason game. This was way back from when, like, near the last time the Jills were around. But we went to a preseason game. I'm pretty sure it was against the Bengals. I got, you know, all this memorabilia. I got the Zubaz pajama pants. Saw my first football game. Went to a tailgate. Again, I was young, so it wasn't like the same like tailgate as it was as an adult. But I was like, you know what? The Bills will be good one day, and I'm going to be a happy camper when they turn good. And took a long time. But yeah, that's how I picked all my sports teams. I felt bad for the loser, and then had the hope that they'll come back to be a good football or any sport team, baseball, basketball. And, you know, it's worked out to a point. Haven't got to the Super Bowl yet, but, you know.
You remember the first season watching?
Somewhat, you know, because I was young. So it was like if my dad was watching it, I'd watch the games, but I always rooted for him. And I would ask about it if it was too late, if I couldn't watch it or something. I asked my dad about the scores. He'd show me the ESPN reels. But yeah, somewhat. It's all a little bit shoddy, but my first, I guess I would say when I was on my own type season, when I was like 16 or 15, where I could watch every game without an issue. Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, miserable times, but I just enjoyed, you know, people would tease me at school, like, because there was like 4 or 5 Bills fans in my little homeroom class. We only had like 20 kids. And they'd be like, the Bills stink. And I just look behind me at the girl named Sarah, and I'm like, that's all right. One day we'll be laughing. And now, you know, you look around, and she's still a Bills fan. And it's cool watching them, you know, going from disaster to hopefully a potential Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah, man. What was your biggest disappointment? What would you grade them last year?
Actually, I set a kind of low bar before going into the season. You know, it was Brady's first full year as a coordinator. We had a lot of change offensively, lost some players, coaching carousel. So I was like, you know, I want them to show me something, but I'll say 10-7, maybe fighting with the Dolphins for, you know, like we did that 2 years ago where it was down to the last game. I was like, I can see that happening, but hopefully they can prove me wrong and they can put it all together. and they did. They certainly exceeded the expectation. I didn't start believing like, yeah, this team could go all the way to the Super Bowl until after they got to that point where it was way beyond the 10 wins. They were beating really good teams, and they just looked all well put together. And I said, you know what? I'm going to let it happen again. I'm going to fall for it and believe that we can do it. And then, again, you get to the championship, and it comes down to a couple plays, and whether it's offense, defense, coaching, you went up against a team that has been there, done that, knows how to play against you, and you just can't get it done. So definitely heartbreaking. And, it almost makes you laugh because it's like 4 times you lost to the same team, and the same coaches are here, the same front office, and you just can't figure out a way to just beat them once. But, I would say overall, besides losing in the championship, it was a great season because I expected 10-7, maybe losing in the divisional again, maybe getting to the championship. But even in the championship game, they played really well. It just came down to those tush pushes. A lot of them were rushed. We didn't call timeout when we maybe could have, or took on the last play of the game, or even on one of those tush pushes. The first one didn't work. Let them measure it. Take a minute. Don't just rush up to the line and try to go for it again. So, again, it's just little plays here and there, coaching. But overall, I'd say it was a good season. I don't like losing, but,
You're big into the trenches, right? The offensive line, whatever. So when you're watching film, what do you look for?
Literally, like that's all I watch is the D line, the offensive line. And I don't know. I'm not the know-it-all person in the world. I don't know everything there is to know about everything.
But I'm saying, what do you look for specifically when you're watching film?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say it's interesting for trench work because a lot of fans, again, there's no knock on fans, but a lot of them haven't played or played the trench position, and it's a boring position. So when I dissect the film, I try to really explain what I've known. I still study in my off time, like, because there's new methods and new things, but I'm watching because sometimes when Josh Allen, he's a running quarterback as well, so he'll run out of the pocket, and then I'll see in all the comments of all the Bills creators, hey, Josh was running for his life the whole game. The offensive line did horrible. But I'm like, wait a minute. If you watch this play here where he ran out of the pocket, the protection was fantastic, but nobody was open. So Josh rolled out to create opening for his wide receivers, and he had to either could run the football or throw a pass downfield, and it works out. But a lot of people in our fan base, they look at that and say, oh, he was running for his life. So when I look at the film for offensive line, I'm watching each player individually first. I played over, again, 5 times each at least. Watch each player. I see where his hand placement is. I see his footwork. I see if he's, getting beat way too quick off the ball, how they're coming off their 3-point stance, how their kickbacks are, all that kind of stuff. Just trying to see, was that really bad protection, or was the sack really on this offensive lineman? Was that really a pressure? And I love doing that. And again, it's a lot of people don't enjoy it just because, even when you go back to high school, no girl wanted the offensive lineman's jersey, right? They always wanted the quarterback's jersey to wear at the game, the wide receivers, the linebackers. So I'm just trying to kind of bring light to an unappreciated position. And you even notice it in your fan base. Everyone just says, oh, the O-line sucks. But it's like, do people actually take a look at every single play? Because sometimes, like Josh Allen, even he runs into sacks sometimes. Because the offensive linemen, they don't have eyes in the back of their head, but the D line has their eyes forward. So if you're getting blocked as a D lineman, your job is to keep your eyes in the backfield. So if Josh is running around, they can see it, but the O lineman can't, and then Josh could run into a sack. So it's just it's a position where people
trying to determine whose fault was it, the offensive lineman or the quarterbacks.
Yep, exactly. But people they'll just go right to the offensive line because it can't be the quarterback, right? It can't be the precious, franchise quarterback. So, that's what I look for, and I enjoy breaking it apart. And I'm going to continue to do it. And whether people see it or not, it's just something I enjoy doing. But I totally understand that it's not a sexy position that people want to pay attention to.
So let me ask you why. Well, listen, why you're here? You're an honest guy. We're not trolling here. What are your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets this year? What are you thinking? Because we all know, Buffalo will be probably will more than likely be first? What do you say? Who do you see and behind you guys? Do you think Miami is in second? Do you think New England improved with the coaching changes? The Jets with their coaching changes? And one thing I noticed that once again, Miami is the only team with the offensive-minded coach. Everybody else got defensive-minded coaches. Vrabel, the Jets, former defensive coordinator. So Miami's still the only team with the offensive-minded coach. But go ahead. What do you think of
Absolutely.
the other teams?
So I saw something that made me think about this the other day. Somebody said on YouTube, it was just like a random channel that talks about sports, that the AFC East is going to be the worst division in football. And I was like, I understand why people may think that, but when you really go deep down into it, there's a lot of like superstar talent in the division. You know, I mean, even the Jets, they got a ton of superstars on that team, defense, offense, and they got Patriots and Jets got brand new coaches that, you know, the Patriots coach is proven. Aaron Glenn, he hasn't been proven yet, but everyone's responding well to him in New Jersey. So, again, with that superstar talent, the Jets might not be that team this year, but I would say maybe next year they might be a 10-win team, 11-win team. But I would still put the Jets maybe in last place this year. And then the Patriots, again, they got a crap ton of people in free agency. They had a pretty decent draft. If Drake May can stay healthy and be a decent quarterback like he was near the end of the year, that defense is going to be solid. And I wouldn't be shocked if they're a 8, 9, 10-win team this year. And then again with Miami, it all depends with you guys on the health, because it seems if Tua's not there, even though he's not the top 5 quarterback or anything, the offense just doesn't work the same, and the players just can't get it done. So if he's
Do you have a respect for Tua, or do you think he's not the answer for the Miami Dolphins? What do you think? What is your
It's hard to say, because there's been quarterbacks that aren't top 5 that win Super Bowls. It's all about how everything else goes around them: coaching, play, offense, defense. Because like Eli Manning, he was never like a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback, and he beat Brady twice. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. So I don't think it's a matter of if Tua's a guy or not. I think it's if they can make it work where he's good enough, and then everyone around him can supplement his play. A guy like, you know, Eli Manning, you know, again, he was either really good or not. He was a wishy-washy type player. So again, Tua to me is not the worst quarterback. He's not in the bottom sector. He's also not in the top 10 for me. I would say he's probably around 12. But you can win. You could be a playoff team with a quarterback like that. But what I really like about you guys is your defensive line. So if they could be, again, I hate saying if they could be healthy, but you just look at the players. You got a lot of blue chip talent on the defensive line, and if they can have a fantastic season, they're going to give a lot of trouble to a lot of teams they play. So again, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, blue chip stars. You know, Tua is a good enough quarterback to get them the football, and Devon Achane, he could be a potential top 5 running back. So you guys got a lot of promise, and I guess it just seems if the health, and I hate saying if, but it's for everyone. If everyone can stay healthy, then I would say Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. But I wouldn't be surprised if we have all 4 winning teams, to be honest with you, because I just feel, just for the Jets alone, just getting a brand new coach, I think that might be enough to just jumpstart them to something. And then again, the Patriots, I definitely can see them winning a few games just because of defense alone. And then you guys are usually always in the fray. Again, if health, you guys are always in it. So I think it'll be fun division this year. I certainly don't think we're going to be the worst division, but I would say pretty solid. And then maybe by next year, it's going to be a real pain in the ass with all 4 teams. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you, what do you think? Thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs? Every year you beat them in the regular season, but it seems like when it's like the playoffs, it's a different. And what's crazy is 1 year it was in Buffalo too. You lost.
Yeah. So Kansas City, obviously, they're just fantastic top to bottom. Great, fantastic head coach. Their defensive coordinator is just legendary, and they got players And you look at them and you might not think like they got a fantastic roster,
Even
but what they do well is when it comes down to make an important play, they do it. So I'm not saying like Josh has to play perfect, but it always, if you look at all those, besides the first game we played him in the playoffs, AFC Championship, we got blown out. We just weren't ready at that point. We really over exceeded expectation that year. But the last 3 playoff games, you go back to that 13-second game. That last couple minutes, like I encourage everybody to go back and watch the last 3 minutes of that playoff game. Touchdown Bills, touchdown Chiefs, touchdown Bills, touchdown Chiefs. It was just an insane the sequence of events. But Josh Allen, that game, he threw a touchdown on 4th down to get back the lead. Then he threw another touchdown with 13 seconds left, and then never got the football back. And then, so when people say like, "Oh, he can't get it done," he technically did get it done. It just didn't. The defense didn't get it done. And then you got the last year, for example, where you are control of the game most of the time, and then it comes down to you got the ball back. That's all we wanted. We wanted to get the ball back, have a chance to win. And then the last play, just the offensive line, it was probably Josh's fault for the slide protection because you get to the line, the quarterback says, okay, in their own lingo, slide to the left, slide to the right. They all slid the wrong way. The rush came immediately, and then Allen was able to get a throw off, and then Kincaid got back to the ball somehow, got it in his hands, and it just dropped it, and then you lose. So, again, that wasn't the only reason why we lost, but it's like if the Chiefs had that scenario, 4th down by 3 to continue the game or to potentially win that football game, they would have made a play, and no matter who was throwing the football or whatever, the play would have worked. So you kind of envy them because it seems like no matter what, they lose talent. They lost Tyreek Hill. They still win Super Bowls. They always find a way to make that one play that you can't. And It's frustrating for sure. But as a football fan, I always have my friends text me, wow, that Bills Chiefs game was one of the best ones I ever seen. And you're just like, yeah, but we're always on the losing end. So it's hard to just enjoy that kind of football game. But yeah, Kansas City Chiefs, they do it right. From top to bottom. And I hope for one day we can, my only scare is Shake. Yeah. We beat them in the divisional round, and then we lose to like the Bengals or the Ravens or someone else in the championship. So it's like the one time you beat them, you don't even get to go to the Super Bowl. That's my that's my ultimate worry. But
yeah, man. And listen, it's I gotta tell you, it's a game of inches. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the one all it takes is one, and especially when even all it takes is one bad play, one bad call. It could come down to that. You know what I mean?
Yep, you got to be ready.
By the way, Joe Rist, no, he doesn't live in Buffalo. What part of New York? You live in
Utica. It's Utica. An hour from Syracuse, about 2 hours 45, maybe 3 hours.
Are you a Syracuse fan?
Yeah, football and basketball. I do like Ole Miss too because my dad went to college there, so I somewhat root for him. But Syracuse is the team, though.
Of course. Yeah. If you ties with your dad, whatever. You have any? Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you have any favorite Buffalo Bills fans that came from Syracuse or from Ole Miss?
Currently, Dawson Knox went to Ole Miss, and that's the reason why I ever knew of him was because he went to Ole Miss. And then when it comes down to long ago, I never really got that much into history about the team or anything. I got a friend who could tell you about players from 1930. He just loves that stuff. But yeah, the only person I can think of currently is Dawson Knox because I really enjoy his type of play style, and he went to Ole Miss too. But yeah, Syracuse, they're really coming around. There was a couple of players I wanted us to draft the last couple of years, but didn't work out.
So let me ask you this: in the division that you're in, right? Who's your most hated team?
I would honestly say it's the Jets just because of the fan base. I mean, you guys know how it is. Every year, it's just delusions of grandeur. They're always puffing their chests out and being rude to people, and it's you guys have the longest missing the playoff drought in football. Like obviously there's you guys and the Raiders for winning a playoff game, but they haven't even made it in 16 years or 15 years. And they just every year, the Bills and Dolphins, they're trash. We're about to win a division. And then it's the same old stuff every year. But I mean, the Patriots, it's like a quiet fan base. You don't really hear much of them. Obviously, probably because they've went downhill. And then, with you guys, a lot of you guys are my friends. So it's like I don't really have a hatred towards your team or your fan base. And, I think we have even though it's a one-sided rivalry at the moment, I think you can remember the 80s, it was all you guys. 90s was a little bit us. 2000s was all you guys. So it's kind of like as a whole, back and forth by, decades here and there. And I think that's really cool because we've seen the Patriots dominate all of our teams, mainly us and the Jets, but dominate all of our teams over the last 20 years. So, but yeah, I would probably just say the Jets. Annoying fan base, annoying area.
Yeah, and I know you're glad to see Tom Brady leave the division, right?
Yeah, I would have loved to beat him once with Josh Allen, but it didn't work out. We had a couple times where it came close, and then we had a chance in Tampa, and that was an overtime game. We didn't beat him then either. But man, he was like 35-3 against us. I remember one game I do remember from a long time ago. He threw like 4 or 5 picks, and we won that football game. And it was just like it felt like the Super Bowl.
So, all right, let me ask you this then, because I know we've been through our quarterback and coaching carousel here. You know what I'm saying? We have the how can I say? We have the Ray Lucases, the Brian Greasy's, the John Beck's, AJ Feely. We do have the quarterback carousel. How do you think about before Josh Allen? Who was your favorite quarterback after between John and between Josh Allen and Jim Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug Flutie was pretty good actually.
Yeah, he was. I actually like JP Lossman a lot. I know it wasn't a popular just because that team was never really that good, but he was just a gunslinger. I really liked how he played. And then you got, of course, Fitzpatrick had his time here. That was far after JP Lossman, but man, I would say JP Lossman. There was guys like Kelly Holcomb who weren't really that good, but you just liked them. You just rooted for them. But yeah, I would, Flutie's a popular one. But yeah, I'd probably say JP Lossman.
Well, how about coaches? Like I said, we've had some coaching between Dermott and Levy. John, what's his name? Who's the coach? John Levy, I think that's his name.
Marv Levy, yeah. That one's a little bit tougher, but I guess he wasn't not because he was good. I just liked his mentality. But what the heck was his name? Rex Ryan.
A lot of people did like Rex Ryan.
Yeah, he wasn't obviously it didn't work for us, but I just loved his, I don't give a shit attitude. Like, let's go kill someone. And again, it didn't really work. I mean, he didn't have horrible seasons with us. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. And then I think Rex, he was the last coach. Then you guys got McDermott right afterwards, right?
Yeah, if I got the timeline correct, I think because he came in 2017. There might have been one a stopgap that I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was Rex and then McDermott.
And what do you think of him? Do you think he's on the hot seat, or not really?
It's hard to say just because he's got the winning, and he did turn the team around. But there comes a point where you have to wonder, and I hate when people. I mean, you guys, your fan base does it too. Oh, if you get rid of this guy, who do you get after that? Give me a name. But it's like, I don't really need to give a name because there's somebody out there. There's somebody out there that will step up. And, there was Andy Reid before as a young man who took a head coaching job and nobody thought he would be anything. And then all of a sudden he's this. So I'm not saying I want him gone, but it's year 9 for him. No Super Bowl appearance. The same stuff every year. We lose the same way. And I don't know. I think if you lose to the Chiefs again in the playoffs 5 times in a row to them, I think you might have to consider maybe moving on. But I think what keeps him, in with a lot of people is a lot of Bills fans remember the drought, and they're scared that if you get rid of a guy that took us out of it, that you're just going to go right back to it. But you got to remember, so we got Josh Allen. He's a big part of why this team moves the way it does. So, yeah, if you do move on from McDermott, I'm sure there'll be another guy out there, a young man that might have a modern look on the NFL or offense, defense, whatever.
Well, how would you feel about if let's say they fire? Because all right, let's say the rumblings with the Dolphin fans, and you guys could probably have the same thing, is that everybody loves Anthony Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do move on from McDaniels, whatever, we have our next head coach in the house and just promote Anthony Weaver.
Right.
Now, in my opinion, and like I said, I'm outside looking in, but one thing I observed watching Buffalo fans is I think ever since Joe Brady has come along, Josh Allen has been more productive for 2 reasons. Number one, Joe Brady doesn't put the team on Josh Allen's back. Like, what I'm saying, expects him to do everything. When, as a matter of fact, his passes, his number of passes went down, and the number of running the game went up. So, and the other thing is he phased out Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
and he made him disposable. So, Joe Brady had success with obviously and with Joe Burrow and kind of making him the number 1 overall pick, and that's who I say would go to Cincinnati if Joe Burrow, if they was to relieve Zach, of his job. I think he would go there. But how would you feel if they do fire McDermott and hire Joe Brady as the head coach?
Well, I would always have a little bit of skepticism but I would for anybody, just because.
Cat for life.
What's that?
I was just saying Cat for life.
Cat for life. Yeah, what's up, Cat for life? Yeah, because it'd be his first time coaching, like head coaching. So
yeah, I tell you what, man, the fans here are relentless.
That's okay. I've known them all doing that for 3 years, so it's all fun. I love it. But guys like even Spagnuolo from the Chiefs, he has one of the worst head coaching records of all time, but he's the best defensive coordinator to ever live. So it's like I'd be a little bit concerned just because he's never had a head coaching opportunity. But I love how he has a modern view on football. And, like you said, with Joe Burrow in college, he had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and they had a downfield passing attack. We don't have a Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, but he has a different thing that works for this team. Utilizing the offensive line and James Cook, utilizing the tight ends to block, the wide receivers, because we don't have superstar wide receivers by any means. But Keon Coleman and Matt Collins, when they were blocking in the run game, it was like having offensive tackles out there blocking cornerbacks. They were just phenomenal with what their job was. And I think the players all love Brady. And whereas I would still be like, oh man, it's his first year. I don't know. I think it would still be exciting just because a young guy with new ideas. Because even with McDermott, again, I like McDermott a lot. We brought back a guy, a veteran depth at linebacker, Shaq Thompson, that played with when he was coaching defense in Carolina. And he even mentioned, he was like, yeah, I mean, it's been a while, but he knows how we run our defense. It's like, so you're running the same type of thing for the last 10 years and you don't adjust anything, and you wonder why you give up 40 points in a playoff loss every year. You got to go with the times. You got to, as much as it's hard to change from what you thought worked, you got to keep moving forward. So people get excited. Oh, Bobby Babich, he's a young defensive coordinator. It's his defense. It's really not. It's going to be McDermott's thing, and he's going to give you the.
Well, that's that's like with us. We could bring in Joe Brady, but we know it's going to be McDaniel's offense.
Exactly.
You go to Pittsburgh, it's going to be Mike Tomlin's defense. You go, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
depending on what side of the ball the head coach is on, it's going to be more times than not. Just like even with Bill Belichick, you know, Patriots, they when Brian Flores was the play caller there when we hired him, his official title was linebackers coach, play caller.
Right.
He wasn't the defensive coordinator. Even his son is not the play. Before he left, his son wasn't the defensive coordinator. He was just the play caller.
Right.
Right after Matt Patricia, he never really had a defensive coordinator. He just gave people the play calling title.
Exactly. And you know, it's funny to think about, like, the most pointless job in the world is being the Chiefs offensive coordinator, because you already know they're going to be awesome, but Andy Reid's running the show. And as much as I think it makes sense to me it'd be wonderful if a head coach that's offensive minded can really work well with the offensive coordinator and they can do stuff together. But sometimes I think just pride's in the way and they just, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. Like when Leslie Frazier was here, and he was a fantastic defensive coordinator and a head coach at one point, you would see oftentimes where McDermott would be like, okay, I'm taking over. And then Leslie Frazier's just like, all right, it's fine. But it's like McDermott always had to be like, okay, let it be on me now. And it's like, dude, work together. Like, you know what I mean? So it'd be cool to, maybe it's that the young people can do that. The young coaches, like maybe a McVay, but you know, they just love, that's their job. And they that's their whole life. They're at the field. Coaches are at the stadium and practice way more than the players are. Like they'll probably sleep at their office while the players go home. So, you know, I give coaches a lot of credit. So I kind of understand where the pride comes in. Like, yeah, it's my offense. Let me take care of it. Offensive coordinator, you do other stuff. But yeah, it certainly be interesting.
So does Babbage call the plays or does McDermott call plays? Who calls the defensive plays?
It's said that Babbage is, but again, it's always kind of hard to tell, because even when they would say that McDermott took over play calling, sometimes you wouldn't even notice it watching the football game when he took over for Leslie Frazier. But McDermott's came out and said that Babbage makes the calls, but if he has to step in, he will. But when you watched it, to me, it just seems somewhat the same all the time. I mean, it's probably a little bit different, but, you know.
What do you think of this question?
I think it's not just because of Allen why that we work well, but I think if he wasn't on the team and it was like a middling quarterback, we would still be in the drought. However, we have really, really good regulars. So it's kind of like, for an example, I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, but he has a issue sometimes in playoff games, right? So he's an all-world player in the regular season. Now, our coaching staff seems to be really solid in the regular season. The players work well. Everything seems good. But then when it comes out to the playoff time, they kind of they shrink a little bit. They get nervous or they play conservative. Because what makes me the most angry is in all those games, we don't play aggressive on defense at the end. It's always, we don't want to give up the big play. But you guys all know that are watching about football. It's harder to make a big play than it is to make a short play where the defense is letting you get the ball in front of them and then they make the tackles. That's what we do in the big moments. We play soft coverage. We had the safeties back in cover two, and we play off the line a lot, and then we let the guys make the catch. And our goal is hopefully they tip the pass and we can get an interception. We can force them to fumble, or they make incomplete passes and we can win the football game. But those passes are way more easy to complete than them throwing the ball 30 yards down the field when you're blitzing the quarterback, when you're trying to jam receivers at the line. So for me, I want an attack style aggressive defense, whereas they might do that in the regular season a little bit. When it comes to the big moment, they're too scared to give up that huge play. When I would rather get beat being aggressive than watching them, the Chiefs got 1 minute left and they're at the 20. 5 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards. I'd rather just try to see them chuck shots downfield And if you could stop them, awesome. Because if it's 3rd and 14 and they throw a deep pass, 4th and 14, higher probability that you're going to win that 4th down. But if it's 3rd and 14 and you're playing back and you let them catch a 5-yard pass and they run a couple yards, that sets them up for 4th down. Because a lot of players or a lot of coaching, they're like, okay, it's 3rd and long, let's set up our 4th down attempt. But some teams are like, let's just go for it. And that's what the Chiefs. Again, that's the difference with the coaching staff when it comes to the Bills and the Chiefs in the big moment.
All right, yeah, man. What any predictions? Predictions what's your record prediction, and then what's the game you're looking forward to seeing the most this year?
So the last few years has been kind of funny. So they were 13-3, 11-6, 13-3, 11-6, 13-4. So part of me is kind of like 11-6 because it just seems to be the pattern. But I would be really happy with 12-5. Again, anything can happen, so it's hard to tell. A lot of people in our fan base have been saying, "Oh, the Bills, we got a top 5 easy schedule." But as you know, the Commanders were the number 2 overall pick, and they went to the NFC Championship the following year. So I don't look at strength of schedule preseason because we don't know how the teams are going to develop into the season. So 11-6, 12-5, fighting for the division. I can't be mad at that every year. But I would say definitely playoffs. Again, as long as you get in, but it'd be nice to win a division again. Kind of keep it going.
All right.
The game I'm excited. I was supposed to go to the Week 3 Miami game in Buffalo, and I didn't. When I found out it was Week 3, I didn't look at the date. I just went and bought tickets. And then my son's birthday is on the day of the game, so I got to cancel and go to a different one. So I'm probably going to go either to the Chiefs game again or the Bucks. So I guess if I can go to the Chiefs game, I'll be most excited for that game to go to. To watch, I would probably just say watch from home. Maybe Week 1 against the Ravens because we got smoked in the regular season last year to them, and it'd be a nice start to the new year to play a fantastic team that you're going to probably fight for seeding with, and you could beat them. And even if we don't, I think it'll still be a really good game.
What do you think of them? Lamar, Josh Allen being MVP last year.
It was awesome. I started to wonder if it would ever happen, just because his touchdowns and yards were always there. That the only quarterback ever to have 5 straight seasons of 40+ touchdowns total, passing, rushing, receiving. But the other years he had a higher turnover percentage. And I knew that a lot of voters, they just look at turnovers and they don't look at overall impact of the team. And it sucked last year because, you see Lamar have just an absolutely out of this world season, stat wise was even better than Josh. But I think part of why Josh won, and I think they both deserved it. I wouldn't have been mad either way. But I think a reason why Josh won was because media preseason said all of the Bills' weapons are absolute dog shit. So when Allen produced without Diggs and Davis and with the dog shit, I mean, they're average, but they're definitely not dog shit. But a lot of the media was like, they don't got anybody. They're horrible. The Bills aren't even going to make the playoffs this year. So I honestly think a lot of just media talking down on the Bills before anything happened. And then we went 13-4, and Allen still had 40+ touchdowns and, almost got the 1 seed. I think that was the main reason why he won over Lamar last year, not because he didn't deserve it, but going into the season, Lamar and the Ravens were looked at as, oh, yeah, they were the 1 seed last year. They're probably going to be good again. But we lost fantastic players, so it was immediately the Bills are going to be trash. And when they weren't, it made people think like, oh, wow, the MVP type. Again, he's had MVP seasons in the past, got second place, runner-up, and it just sucks because it wasn't about, oh, Allen deserved the MVP. It turned into, oh, Allen won because of this, or he's not better than Lamar, or blah, blah, blah. But people can't just say he deserved it. I would have preferred Lamar to win, but congratulations to Josh. he definitely deserved to win an MVP one of these years that he didn't win it. So good for him. And then, we'll see how it goes next year. But I was super happy for him because, I've never seen in my lifetime an MVP quarterback for my football team, or even an MVP in general.
And he got the Madden cover too, so remember that.
Yeah. So you could add the MVP finally to the trophy case besides the Madden cover. So you got to tell Crypto to update that picture.
So all right, we're almost done here. What do you think of which one is your favorite one if you had to pick one?
So I love the standing buffalo. I know a lot of the fans love the red helmet, but I didn't like the jersey with the red helmet. It was my first jersey that I got was that era it was a Paul Posluszny jersey. So I have one of those jerseys still. I don't know. But standing buffalo is iconic for me. And then, even the current era, they're pretty solid, but I really like the standing buffalo.
By the way, if you notice the 60 helmet is the same color scheme as the Detroit Lions because Ralph Wilson had stake in the he used to own part of the Detroit Lions. He sold it to buy the Buffalo Bills. So I think that'll be if Buffalo, knock on wood, they don't go to Super Bowl. No offense, but if they do go to the Super Bowl, I think that'll be a historic Super Bowl. The Lions and the Bills.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to sound like a hater to the other teams, but I'm just sick and tired of watching it was even when the Patriots, like, I'm going to be honest. I was still in the Army. I was stationed in Virginia. We were watching the Chiefs-Patriots AFC Championship game when Mahomes didn't get the ball back, right? Mm-hmm. And I vividly remember me saying, that's absolute horseshit. Mahomes should have got a chance. The Chiefs should have had a chance to win that football game. And I was saying this before it happened to us where we didn't get the ball back. So people like, oh, Buffalo only cries about it now. I was crying about it when Brady won off of it. So I don't know if that was just my hatred for the Patriots or not, but I even remember back then just like, man, the Chiefs should have won that game. So it's like, now you hate the Chiefs because they're always in it, but I was just tired of seeing the Patriots every year. And now it's always the Chiefs, Eagles, or Niners. Chiefs, Eagles, or Niners. Chiefs, and you're just like, even if it's not the Bills, just be anybody different because, not that I hate the Eagles, but it's just like, man, why can they win and we can't? It's not fair. But I just like different things. I like, interesting matchups that you never see. But, I guess if it was my team going every year, I'd be happy about it too. But you know what I mean, right? Like, even if it's not your team, you kind of just want to see something different.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna put some pictures up. You tell me which first thing that comes to your mind.
Wow, thank God. The best pass rusher ever. Good quarterback, couldn't get it done. The man, Flutie Flakes.
And last but not least, and I'm saving this guy last because
I think I know who.
Because of the premiere of the Naked Gun movie that's coming out. They're doing the remake, and he was obviously one of the best actors in the movie. So,
yeah. If the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. Oh man, obviously I never got to watch him play, but when you really think about it, again, I'm not. Whatever happened in his past, who knows? I wasn't alive for it, but the 14 games and the amount of rushing yards he was able to produce. I know it was a running era, but that's just insane, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first guy to like 2000 something. It just blows my mind how that could be possible. But yeah, it's a shame.
All right. And last but not least, I always do it with Dolphin fans. I want your Buffalo Bill Mount Rushmore.
Ooh. Okay. So it could be even if I never got to watch him play from back in the day?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. It could be owner, coach, player.
Yeah. So I got to put Josh Allen because in my time. Yep. in my time, Allen.
You won't put
It's
Dan
been-
Mitchell on the Mount Rushmore? No.
You gotta put him there. As at least honorable mention. But
No,
but yeah, Josh
So
Allen
who's
for sure.
Josh Allen? Okay.
Yep. I would say so. I know it's easy to make fun of, but I was born in '95, so I didn't see the 4 Super Bowl losses. But I still think, even though you lost them all, it was still a really impressive thing to get to 4. And obviously, from what I've heard, because Mike, my friend Mike, he was alive back then, and he just said that those teams in the NFC were just absolutely stacked. Their offensive lines were all world, and then Emmitt Smith, and we lost all NFC teams, but I still think it's impressive. So I would say Josh Allen, Marv Levy, Bruce Smith, and I guess put Kelly in there just because he was a quarterback. But I would say maybe between him and Thurm.
So Josh Allen, Marv Levy, that's a coach, right?
Yep, he was the coach, and then
Bruce Smith and Jim Kelly. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, and again, I wish I got to watch them play. Again, I was born in '95, but in their heyday, in their prime, in those early '90 years, because I mean, the fact that Bruce Smith was able to play in that type of position for 20 years, obviously in the last year or two, it wasn't that good, but that longevity, I really don't think anyone's ever going to touch that sack record. It seems. I mean, I thought the same thing before Ovechkin broke the goal record. I said, man, there's no way. I'm a Capitals fan, believe it or not. But yeah, that was because I was stationed out there. I never watched hockey before, and I went to a game. I said, I love hockey, and I'm going to root for them now. But Ovechkin broke that goal record, and I thought it would never be possible. So maybe the sack record could be beat. But I just think having the sack record that has to put you in the Bills Mount Rushmore, the coach that got you to 4 Super Bowls has to put you there. The current best player in the last 20 years, Josh Allen. And then, like Finn Spin said, it's really a toss-up between Thurm and Jim Kelly. But I would just say just because Jim was a quarterback, I would put him there. But, yeah, it's a great question. But if I would say current, like just the last like maybe 10 years, I would say Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, because I just love Stephon Diggs. I'll just throw Frank Gore in there just because he wasn't a Bill for long, but he became, I think, 3rd or 4th all-time rusher on the Bills. And I just love Frank Gore. What he did in his career, the longevity, again, it's really impressive, especially at that position. And he was really good, a good vet for us. And then what was that? So I was 3. Diggs, Gore, Allen, and then I would say Kyle Williams, the defensive tackle. If you got time, I know you guys aren't Bills fans, but he just had the greatest speeches that you could have before you go into a football game, and it gets you ramped up. And it's a shame that he was leaving. His last year was that year we finally made the playoffs because the Bengals beat the Ravens on that last play of the game. And we snuck in and we lost like 10-3. But yeah, I would say Kyle Williams. Marshawn Lynch is a good one too. But this is just it's not about just skill for this one for me, but I just love Kyle Williams.
But anyway, listen, I know you things with your kids, whatever, and I appreciate the time that you made with me. And hey, listen, we hope I hope I can have you on Insomnia this year.
For sure. Yeah, we definitely got to do that more. And like I said, you just let me know. When my son goes to bed, I can really do anything. So, yeah, it was such an honor to be on here. I really appreciate it.
And listen, I hate your team, but I appreciate you as a friend and you as a person, man. So,
absolutely, I totally agree. But yeah, I had an awesome time. I really appreciate it. And
same here.
I'll be watching the rest of your videos as always.
All right, man. Fins up and well, go Buffalo, I guess, right? Peace. We out this bitch.
Sure.
Peace. Hey, stick backstage for a little bit, and then what I'm saying. So peace out, y'all.
Peace out.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day.